From Citizen TV, this is Friday Night with Lillian Mooney.
Happy Friday to you. Many thanks for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you with us on Friday night. Let's take a look at stories making headlines tonight.
William Ruto is actually unfit for the position of President of the Republic of Kenya.
Unfit for command, former CS Justin Muturi links Ruto to corruption and declares him unfit to be president.
They use something like a string to cover completely the eyes.
Back to the scene of crime. Court moves to Cohen's home as prosecution calls third witness. Suspect in the murder of Multimedia University student arrested as police visit scene of the murder.
Sijui pande hii, sijui mlima, sijui kwa lake, sijui kwa ocean. Sasa tukienda hiyo barabara si Kenya hii itasambaratika.
Stop dividing Kenyans. President Ruto condemns tribal leaders as he tours Kindiki's backyard, Tharaka Nithi. Good evening. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Wilson Ochuka. We begin with explosive revelations by former Attorney General Justin Muturi, who is now linking President William Ruto to shady multi-billion dealings with foreign persons and companies, including the Adani firm in India and Russians he described as oligarchs. In an interview with NTV, the former Attorney General described President Ruto as irredeemably corrupt and unfit to serve as president of Kenya. Citizen TV's Stephen Leto reports on the damning revelations that come days after Muturi was relieved of his duties as Cabinet Secretary for Public Service.
You know, William Ruto, whenever he comes up with a program, it's for money making. For him, it's for money making.
It was a bare-knuckle display, as it was a little bombshell. The former Attorney General Justin Muturi linking President William Ruto to high-level corruption and terming him unfit for office.
But is he corrupt? Examples aside.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very. Yes, irredeemably.
Okay.
Corrupt.
One example.
Muturi narrated how President Ruto called to instruct him to sign a 129 billion shillings deal with Russian oligarchs on planting trees.
I land in Dubai, Ruto is calling me. Those people, those Russians, want to, they are there, they are in Dubai, they are waiting, you sign them. I said, you know, I'm just at the airport and I'm on transit. I am not leaving the airport.
Right.
He said, no, but they are there. Your people, your staff have already worked on the document. I said, no, I will need to go and review it in office.
This document being the deal?
The deal. They were purporting to give a grant of $1 billion to grow allegedly 3 billion trees.
Muturi alleged that the project was a private money-making venture, yet the grant was to be channeled directly to the Ministry of Environment.
No, William Ruto, whenever he comes up with a program, it's for money making. For him, it's for money making. Now, I come and tell them, you know, they bring me an MOU. I tell them, and I remember I spoke about the MOUs.
Yes.
I told them, no, it came from the Ministry of Environment, which they pushed through. I tell them this thing, the $1 billion can only be by way of a grant, but it cannot come directly to the ministry because under the PFM Act, Section 47, it can only go through the National Treasury. They are trying to avoid that money going to the National Treasury, and is money coming from abroad.
Right.
I mean...
And you're being asked to sign in an airport.
I'm being told to sign at Dubai airport, and this William Ruto calling me directly. You know, I'm telling you.
Having worked with President Ruto during this time, when he served as Kenya's Attorney General, Muturi says he arrived at a sorry conclusion.
I think it's a very unfortunate situation for the country that we have William Ruto sitting in the office as President of Kenya. I think William Ruto is actually unfit for the position of President of the Republic of Kenya. I have come sadly to that conclusion.
Muturi went all out and linked President William Ruto to the Adani deal that he says was inked in Dubai.
is the one who was clearly behind it. And I know this because when his advisor, Adan Mohamed, invited me to attend the COP28 in Dubai in 2023, he gave me a lot of information which ended up with the Adani deal about the airport specifically.
Muturi also roped in the Aror and Kimorel scandal, a project where the government secured a loan worth 63 billion shillings from an Italian company, CMC di Ravenna. But there were discrepancies regarding the actual cost, quality of work and accountability. Muturi revealed that President William Ruto has been asserting undue control over his cabinet, preventing cabinet secretaries from freely executing their duties.
Even in cabinet, if you want to know something where he has an interest, a CS will make a presentation and then William Ruto will take over. Say, this one is good. He begins now to explain, making sure that there is no dissent, you know?
In the Tell It All interview, the former Public Service Cabinet Secretary called the president a dangerous man.
William Ruto is a true example of Daniel Moi.
Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
And away from that, the prime suspect in the murder of Multimedia University student Sylvia Kemunto is now in police custody. Eric Mutinda surrendered to authorities at Sultan Hamoud Police Station early Friday morning and is currently assisting detectives as investigations intensify. Later this evening, homicide detectives returned to Multimedia University, combing through the crime scene once more, searching for fresh leads in the brutal killing that has shaken the campus community. Kemunto's lifeless body was discovered stuffed inside a water tank atop a hostel. Our investigative reporter Ode Francis has been following the story and now brings us the latest developments.
Detectives are back at Multimedia University, retracing the final steps of Sylvia Kemunto, whose brutal murder has shocked the nation. Homicide officers, following the tragic surrender of the prime suspect Eric Mutinda, returned to the crime scene in search of answers. Among the evidence collected are Sylvia's beddings and footwears belonging to both the victims and the suspect, all now headed for forensic testing as investigators piece together the chilling puzzle of her final moments. Eric Mutinda, the man believed to have had a hand in Sylvia's death, quietly turned himself in at Sultan Hamoud Police Station early Friday morning, barely a day after her body was discovered stuffed inside a water tank on the rooftop of a hostel. Sources reveal that it was after intense questioning from his parents that Mutinda agreed to surrender. They later escorted him to the station where he was taken into custody. Now in the hands of homicide detectives from the DCI, Mutinda has been transferred to Nairobi for further questioning, as investigators work around the clock to uncover the truth behind the gruesome murder that has left the community in mourning.
The suspect is actually a lover to this girl, a boyfriend. And the police have been doing the investigation, and it is clear that on that day, Sunday, when the girl is reported to have been missing, the boy had actually entered the room of the girl.
Mutinda had been on the detectives' radar from the start, questioned on campus, but later vanished, prompting a manhunt.
On Tuesday, akakuwa interviewed na one of the DCIs, and then akajifanya na pick call, kwa sababu akaona ni kama maybe they're getting some clue from him, and then akajaribu kujifanya napiga simu, then akatoka nje ya gate. Then in that case on Wednesday jana, huyo sasa as roommate tukaitwa kwa Nauma DCI, tukaelezea all the incident yenye nimewaelezea hapa. And then after that on yesterday tukareleasiwa, tulikuja kwa room kitu 8, then tukareleasiwa kitu 12:20 hapo, after giving all the stories.
At Sylvia's family home, grief hangs heavy as preparations for the final send-off begin. Yet, the pain of loss is compounded by lingering questions. How did their daughter meet such a tragic end? Now, after 2 days after the body of Sylvia Kemunto, a student at Multimedia University, was found in a tank, the suspect has been arrested and is currently under interrogation at the Nairobi Area Homicide Department, awaiting to be taken to court on Monday. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi area, Nairobi.
And staying on the crime scene for the second day, the home of the late Dutch businessman Tob Cohen in Kitisuru was transformed into a high court as 2 witnesses took the stand to testify. One of the witnesses, a scene of crime officer, told the court that the crime scene had been tampered with, a scene that had been handed over to the custody of the main suspect, Sarah Wairimu, just last month. However, that order was vacated after the discovery of the interference. Wairimu faced another setback when the court denied her bond application, citing allegations that she had intimidated a police officer involved in the case. Gatete Njoroge reports.
The scene of crime where Dutch businessman Tob Cohen's lifeless body was found on September 13, 2019, remains a focal point in the ongoing trial.
On page.
For the second consecutive day, the palatial home in one of Nairobi's leafy suburbs has been transformed into a high court where critical testimonies are unfolding.
Photograph number 19.
3 witnesses have now taken the stand since Thursday. Among them, a retired scene of crime police officer who once served as a photographer shared gripping details of the discovery, revealing how an underground water tank was uncovered, initially concealed beneath a pile of branches and discarded furniture.
After we went close, he was showing there was something underneath of that heap. After removing that heap,
yeah.
So we could see the part of the water tank.
The officer went on to explain that the top cover of the tank had been cemented shut, but upon further inspection, they discovered another lid inside. This was eventually opened, revealing a shocking scene. What stunned the investigators was the clear tampering with the tank's system. The floater, which regulates the water flow, had been interfered with, causing the water to stop flowing into the tank. It was in this altered tank system that they found Cohen's body, which had been covered twice, among other items, including plastic sheets, further concealing the grim discovery.
These are the close-ups showing clearly the legs and the hands, how were tied. Yani walikaza sana miguu na mikono.
Tightly.
Yes. Yeah. We noticed also after removing the black material, the red material on the head, there was another material. They used something like a string to cover completely the eyes.
Anunda, who led the court through the compound, took them from the underground water tank to the house, where investigators believe visitors may have been present during the period Tob Cohen went missing. He testified that there was clear interference with the crime scene, a stark contrast to the condition in 2019 when police first discovered the body of the missing tycoon. Notably, Sarah Wairimu, the main suspect in the case, had been granted custody of the property just last month.
This place was not looking like this. It seems that they have dug, maybe they want to plant some things, but during that time, there wasn't. And 2, there was no that fence.
All the witnesses who have testified before me have told the court that there have been alterations to the property. There are additional things that have been added to the property or the premises that were not there during the time of the offense. The property herein is handed over to the OCS Spring Valley Police Station.
Sarah Wairimu, who has been in custody since her arrest in January, suffered another setback after the court rejected her bond application. In her ruling, Justice Diana Mochache referenced an incident on Friday morning where a police officer testified that Wairimu had intimidated her 3 times during the ongoing trial.
The accused needs first to show remorse, which he has not done, before this court can vacate its orders. I would direct that an affidavit be sworn by the accused person and filed in court by the advocate, and the accused person shall commit that he shall not intimidate, threaten, or in any way approach the prosecution witnesses.
The prosecution has lined up 78 witnesses. It hopes will strengthen its case and secure a conviction against the main suspect, Sarah Wairimu, the widow of the late Tob Cohen. After a 2-day court session at the home of the slain Dutch businessman Tob Cohen, the case now will be heard on May 7th, with the main suspect Sarah Wairimu remaining in remand. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Kitisuru, Nairobi.
Now, President William Ruto's tour of the Mount Kenya region has been met with mixed reactions, and the president has come to the defense of Police Inspector General Douglas Kanja, whose presence at a rally in Nyeri town during the president's tour of the Mount Kenya region stirred political controversy. Addressing the issue, President Ruto dismissed the criticism, insisting that there was nothing wrong with the police chief attending a public service function. The IG has faced a public backlash, with critics accusing him of overstepping his professional boundaries and engaging in what many perceive as political activity. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui with more.
On the 3rd day of his development tour in the Mount Kenya region, President William Ruto came to the defense of Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, who has faced growing criticism for his presence during presidential engagements. The president emphasized that there was no issue with Kanja attending events aimed at serving the public.
And for your information, IG, whenever you are not there, there are so many other officers who represent you in those meetings. And there is no difference. And they don't come to do politics. You know, so I don't know what difference there is. In the meeting where I was in Nyeri, there were almost another 300 policemen all over the place. Why do you single out the IG?
Speaking during his visit to the Rakanithi, where he commissioned police housing units,
atampatia IG funguo wakiwa pamoja na DIG Masengeli.
President Ruto said it was appropriate to have the relevant authority, in this case the police IG, present to formally hand over the project.
And it is proper and right for me to hand over this building to the IG for the use of these officers. And therefore, I want to encourage other leaders in Kenya not to look at everything from the prism and lenses of politics.
Despite the clarification, IG Kanja's attendance, particularly his remarks to a crowd in Kieni, Nyeri County on Tuesday, has continued to generate political uproar, with critics accusing him of engaging in partisan politics. In response to the backlash, government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura moved to clarify the situation, stating that the IG's comments were strictly within the scope of his official duties.
It has nothing to do with the issue of politics. The development tour is a development tour. And the president has been in other places. He's been in Coast Region, he's been in Western Region, and the IG has been even doing his patrol and his various engagements, going forward.
Mwaura reaffirmed the IG's neutrality, asserting that his role was confined to providing security and coordinating presidential functions as outlined under the National Police Service Act of 2011. The Law Society of Kenya LSK condemned the IG's participation, arguing that his involvement in what appeared to be a political rally compromised the impartiality of the National Police Service and violated constitutional principles. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Right, and 2027 succession politics dominated President William Ruto's Day 4 tour of Mount Kenya region. Leaders from Tharaka Nithi and Embu asked the head of state to stick with Kithure Kindiki as his deputy during the 2027 general election in order to reap big from Mount Kenya East region. President Ruto, who inspected various projects in Tharaka Nithi, Mbeere, Chuka, Runyenjes, and Mara constituencies criticized leaders embracing tribal politics, vowing that the people of the mountain region will reject them come the 2027 polls. Seth Olale reports.
With Deputy President Kithure Kindiki hosting President William Ruto for the very first time in his first official visit to Mount Kenya East since he succeeded Rigathi Gachagua, loyalty and succession politics were on the cards as the presidential entourage traversed Tharaka Nithi and Embu counties. DP Kindiki's allies making the intention known by endorsing the former Tharaka Nithi senator to be on the 2027 presidential ballot as President William Ruto's deputy.
Na tungependa iendelee hivyo hivyo mpaka 2032, Mheshimiwa Rais. Isikanyange hapo 2027, wacha iendelee mpaka huko 2032. Akifika huko atajipanga kivyake, wewe ukiwa umemtumia kufanya kazi. Watu wa Tharaka Nithi wape makofi ya Deputy President wa Republic of Kenya. Mimi nauliza nyinyi, huyu profesa anatosha ama atoshi? Huyu Kindiki anatosha ama atoshi?
Kwa hivyo rais, urafiki ambao uko nao kwa sisi watu ya hii area ya Mount Kenya na watu ya Tharaka Nithi in particular ni urafiki wa miaka mingi na uwezi kuharibika kwa sababu uko katika msingi thabiti.
While inspecting various development works, such as commissioning of the tuition block at Tharaka University and inspection of an affordable housing project for the police in Chuka Town, President William Ruto defended his decision to form a broad-based government with former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, saying it is aimed at unifying all regions for prosperity.
Kuna wengine wanasema ati tugawane. Ati hawa ni wa kabila hii, sijui hawa ni wa kabila ile, chama hii, sijui chama gani, sijui pande hii, sijui mlima, sijui kwa lake, sijui kwa ocean. Sasa tukienda hiyo barabara si Kenya hii itasambaratika.
The head of state saying he is ready to take on his political opponents come the 2027 general election.
Siku ya siasa itakuja. Saa hizi ni saa ya kazi. Ama namna gani? Si saa hii kila mtu ashughulike na ile kazi amepatiwa. MCA ako na kazi yake ashughulike. Mjumbe ako na kazi yake ashughulike. Gavana ako na yake ashughulike. Mimi niko na yangu nishughulike. Siku ya mtihani ikifika si nyinyi ndio mtasahihisha.
President Ruto dismissing claims that his development tour of the Mount Kenya region was politically motivated, saying that engaging the public on development issues is a constitutional function. President William Ruto flagged off electrification materials for implementation of energy projects which are being carried out by the Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. The president said his government was keen to connect 6,639 households to electricity in Embu County through 102 electrification projects at a cost of 580 million shillings.
Tumewapatia milioni 580 ya kuunganisha stima watu 6,600.
Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
A section of leaders drawn from Nyeri County have called on residents to refrain from heckling leaders during President William Ruto's planned visit of Othaya and Nyeri Town constituencies on Saturday as the president's visit of Central Kenya hits the home stretch. Led by Governor Mutahi Kahiga, the leaders who spoke at separate events have warned that such shameful acts run the risk of soiling the reputation of a county that has benefited immensely from the Kenya Kwanza administration. On Thursday, National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, Laikipia East Legislator Mwangi Kiunjuri, and Nyandarua County Woman Representative Faith Gitau found themselves on the receiving end of locals who shouted them down in President Ruto's presence in his tour of Nyandarua County.
support the government of the day because what they want is maendeleo, and they said nothing else but maendeleo. Politics, when the elections come 2027, we'll meet on the field, people will heckle each other.
I am in this town every weekend. Please come and heckle me every weekend. Hii heckling ya ile siku president amekuja hapa haisaidii. This is a national event. Please let us have a political hygiene.
Watu wanasema president anataganya. Hakuna president kitu anataganya. Jukumu yako ya president ni kudelegate. Delegated. Inapatiwa hiyo kazi na sisi tunafuata. Na kwa hivyo pia nataka kuambia watu, president ile vitu alitupatia ndio anakuja kuangalia hiyo kazi imefika wapi.
Hata kama kuna tofauti za kisiasa, hata kama kuna kukorogana na kuna mambo kama hayo, ni vizuri niwaambie, rais akija hapa Nyeri, hakuna rais mwingine, sisi ndio tulimchagua, tumpokee kwa shukrani.
Away from the president's tour of the Mount Kenya region, a family living in Mau Narok, Nakuru County is crying foul over the mysterious death of their kin, who was arrested by police officers in plain clothes, detained and later reported dead. 27-year-old Dennis Kiprotich, a tout in Nakuru town, was arrested on claims of assault. His body would then be brought to the Nakuru Teaching and Referral Hospital morgue 5 days later. As Marianne Nyambura reports, an autopsy conducted on Kiprotich's body revealed that he died due to internal bleeding in the head.
When plainclothes police officers arrested 27-year-old Dennis Kiprotich, a tout, on March 21st, over claims of assault and causing bodily harm to a passenger, Kiprotich was alive and well. However, 5 days later, his cold body lay at the Nakuru Teaching and Referral Hospital morgue. The circumstances that led to his death remains a mystery.
Kiprotich alinipigia Monday, akaniambia alishikwa Jumaa. Sasa kuniambia alishikwa Jumaa, ndo akaniambia mama unitumie pesa. Nikatumia 3,500. Nikaambia yeye hiyo, akakaa kidogo. Akaniambia mama, hiyo mtu amekataa, anataka 10,000 na anasema ati nitaoneshwa discipline. Nikamwambia acha tutatafuta pesa. Sasa ikakuaje, akarudi kukusikia, ndio tunaambiwa ati Dennis amekufa.
Kiprotich was charged on March 24th. On 25th, he was transferred from the Central Police Station to the Nakuru GK prison. Kiprotich's family is seeking answers on who tortured their kin when he was detained at the Central Police Station.
Wapilisu nasema Deni akileta alikuwa anasema tu wamenipiga kichwa na nitabebwa na Nissan. Wameniua, wamenigonga kichwa, alikuwa analia kichwa na miguu. Sasa anasema tu niende kwa mamangu, sina mtu mwingine, mamangu ana mtu ya kunisaidia.
An autopsy conducted on the body of Kiprotich on Thursday evening revealed that he died due to internal bleeding in the head.
Ile main injury ambao inaonekana iliweza kumuua ni ya kichwa. Alikuwa amegongwa kichwa hapa, na baada ya kufungua kichwa tumeona alikuwa na massive internal bleeding.
Tabia yake ilikuwa nzuri. Sijaikosana na yeye ama kupigana na yeye. Hapana, hajaishikwa tena.
On Friday morning, the body of Kiprotich was taken to the homestead of the complainant, who summoned the police, leading to his arrest. After that, family members laid him to rest at the family home in Mau Narok, Njoro. Marianne Nyambura, Citizen TV.
And 3 police officers who were accused of torturing a suspect in a Homa Bay cell can now breathe a sigh of relief after being acquitted of the charges. While giving her judgment on the case filed 3 years ago, Migori's senior principal magistrate Naomi Wairimo said the prosecution failed to convince the court that the officers Peter Lagat, Peter Nyakundi and Gilbert Aleka tortured Edward Ondieki Amayo, a pub operator in Rodi Kopany, Homa Bay County, for allegedly being in possession of stolen items. Amayo, the plaintiff, accused the trio of torturing him in a police cell by suspending him upside down between 2 tables and flogging the soles of his feet. Lawyers representing the victims from the International Justice Commission, Kenya, expressed their disappointment with the judgment.
Hopefully before midnight.
I find it difficult to fathom that even the court will fail to note that an accused person complained of injuries when he was presented before the court. In the circumstances and taking into consideration the complete evidence of the prosecution and the defense, I am not convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that the prosecution, as is required, that the prosecution has proved its case, that the accused persons committed the offense before court. I would therefore accordingly acquit the accused persons of the offense of torture, contrary to Section 4A1, as read in Section 5.1.
Let's get an update on the vetting of nominees for principal secretary positions, which commenced today as members of parliament in various departmental committees sought to establish the nominees' qualifications and suitability for office. Stephen Isaboke, who has been nominated for principal secretary in the State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunications, vowed to, among other issues, defend media freedom. Dr. Frederick Ouma Oluga, the nominee for medical services, explained to the panel the significance of changing strategy in addressing the welfare of the health workforce in Kenya.
Principal secretary nominees in key ministries are facing an uphill task in convincing Kenyans and the National Assembly on their suitability to serve in various ministries as their vetting began in earnest Friday morning.
It is for us as a committee to satisfy ourselves.
Among those listed for day one of the approval hearings was Stephen Isaboke, the nominee for Principal Secretary in the State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunications. Isaboke was questioned on how he acquired shares in MultiChoice Africa Group, one of Africa's leading media entertainment companies.
I have never been managing director of GoTV. I have never been an employee of GoTV. I've only been a director representing MultiChoice Africa and shareholder. So this was a newly incorporated business running on losses. The two partners agreed to co-locate. You'll see references to co-location. In the process, MultiChoice used some KPC sites. KPC used some MultiChoice sites. That's a very standard practice in industry. So to what extent values were exchanged, that's operational. I cannot comment.
Isaboke, who cited the 2015 digital migration as one of his greatest achievements in his career in broadcasting, also explained to the committee how his experience prepared him to tackle sensitive issues such as media freedom.
My approach will actually be, first of all, refer to the Constitution, refer to the law, and ensure that that law and Constitution is actually being respected by both the government agencies and the media operators. Number two, where there could be issues operational, my approach will actually be engagement. So that if they're free, they should say what they want, but there is also freedom with accountability.
Former Chief Officer of Health in the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, Dr. Frederick Ouma Oluga, the nominee for medical services, seemed to be treading on familiar territory as he faced the Committee on Health. Dr. Oluga, who once led a doctor's strike that lasted more than 3 months, while serving as the Secretary General of KMPDU, advocated for a change of strategy in addressing the welfare of the health workforce in Kenya.
Every single issue comes always to the top. There is very little engagement at the facility and at the county level, and that is one of the things that I believe we could strengthen through an inclusivity approach to establish work councils to make sure that these CBA implementation committees work, and to ensure that there is a level of responsibility, because not all issues require money.
Other nominees who appeared before various committees to defend their suitability to serve in the highly coveted positions included Aden Abdi, the nominee for Principal Secretary in the State Department for Shipping and Maritime Affairs, Boniface Bakoha, nominee for Economic Planning, Fikirini Jacobs, nominated for the State Department for Youth Affairs, and Regina Ombam, nominated for the Trade Docket.
As we look at those trade agreements, we also have to be very conversant of the fact that we are also members of some other regional blocs that also have their own ways of work. And so as I look into those trade agreements, I have to make sure that there is no contradiction whatsoever.
The approval hearings are scheduled to run until Monday, April 7th, 2025. Safin Achieng Oma, Citizen TV.
That story by Safin brings us to our very first break. It's time to take a very, very small or short breather, if you like, and we'll be back with much more in just a bit. Stay with us.
Triumph and delight. Kenyan grannies from Uasin Gishu win against South African team.
Si niliwaambia. Halo, niletee kama kawaida.
Kama sio Kavagara, wacha kiumane.
Hii chapati ni tamu sana.
Omera, sere bila Kavagara, sio sere.
Dukani usitishe unga, itisha kava.
Kote nchini mbele tuendelee, mbele Kenya twende mbele,
Kenya twende mbele. NCBA, go for it. This Sunday at Christian Foundation Fellowship Donholm.
Wakati Kristo alishuka, alikuja kutupea uhuru. We are not supposed to abuse it. Hatutaitumia vibaya. Usilipishe kisasi. Usiombe mtu vibaya. Release to God. Mwachie Mungu. Turuhusu Roho Mtakatifu aweze kutuongoza.
Live on Citizen TV Gospel Sunday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Join us for an unforgettable journey to the world's largest trade fair, the Canton Fair in Guangzhou, China, from 15th to 27th April. Explore thousands of products, meet global suppliers, and experience China's rich culture. Enjoy guided tours, shopping, and local experiences, all while discovering new business opportunities. Enjoy this and more in 9 nights and 10 days, starting from $2,450 per person sharing. Visit viewtravel.com or call and WhatsApp 0703 254 254. View Travel. Dream, explore, discover.
Niliambiwa kwanza ukubali uko na huu ugonjwa.
Many have described it as a monster that has caused devastation.
Kaniambia niko na uvimbe kwa lungs na ni cancerous.
I was shocked I had cancer.
Available statistics show that it is one of the cancers with the highest mortality rate.
Lung cancer is like the second most deadly cancer after breast cancer and prostate cancer.
But what exactly is the cause of lung cancer?
Even with the other cancers, we need to start looking at the environment.
Could it be the chemicals that these citizens are exposed to?
Find out more about lung cancer, Kenya's silent killer, only on Citizen TV this Sunday at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m.
Get business credit card from Cooperative Bank and pay for business stock and supplies on credit instead of using your own money. You can make payments in Kenya, abroad, and online.
Tunapotumia mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu Kristo, upewe roho mpya na upate mwili usio na magonjwa, uwe na afya tele kwa jina la Yesu Kristo.
you are hot. Arrow hot. From head to toe.
WRC Safari Rally 2025. Revisha and feel the roar.
Thanks for staying with us. The National Intelligence Service has denied claims that it is being used to muzzle free speech among Kenyans. This following claims that the agency is at the heart of a covert team that has been cracking down on government critics on social media. The agency, through its Director General Nordin Haji, says its monitoring of social media use has been occasioned by an increase in the abuse of social media platforms as a means to spread fake news, disinformation and misinformation, posing a threat to national security. And as Kamau Mwangi now reports, President William Ruto has warned that if unchecked, social media threatens to destabilize governments, calling for its careful monitoring.
Chiefs of Intelligence.
The second Mashariki Cooperation Conference, bringing together more than 60 intelligence and security services from across Africa and the globe underway in Naivasha, has brought to the fore a new reality: the monitoring of Kenyans' activities online by government, with intensified scrutiny since June 2024 following Gen Z-led protests. The National Intelligence Service, while admitting its involvement in monitoring Kenyans online, has cited increased spread of fake news, disinformation and misinformation as factors occasioning its vigilance, saying abuse of social media is increasingly becoming a threat to national security.
And this is not to be confused with us trying to muzzle free speech and the right to freedom of speech at all. We're talking about fake news, disinformation, misinformation, the sum of which would end up making citizens making decisions that are not informed and that are ill-informed.
The country's spy agency has from time to time been accused of using social media to track users who sometimes hide behind pseudo accounts, critiquing government with the use of AI-generated images, technology the Director General of NIS, Nordin Haji, says has opened a new war front.
The proliferation of information and disinformation campaigns, exacerbated by the use of AI-generated content, has waged a war against truth, with governments being the biggest targets. I therefore welcome the resounding commitment to uniting our efforts to counter the growing influence of these threats.
I want to ask all of you to make sure that the digital space, especially artificial intelligence, become part of our intelligence, inform, and we can leverage it as a tool that will enable us to be ahead of threats and risks that we face.
President William Ruto, who addressed the conference Thursday night, has warned that if left unmonitored, the social media space threatens to cause unrest around Africa and the globe, disclosing that the government is working a framework to counter the threat of the negative use of social media.
In Kenya, we are responding with robust measures, upholding freedom of expression, promoting access to accurate information, expanding digital literacy, and institutionalizing transparency in public communication.
It is important to recognize that intelligence services extend beyond mere responses to threats to involve early warning system that enables anticipation of potential dangers and offer timely, actionable insights to policymakers.
Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
Chief Justice Martha Koome has called for increased budgetary allocation to the judiciary, citing resource constraints as a major barrier to the effective delivery of justice. Speaking during a judicial forum held as part of the Family Court Open Day, Koome emphasized that the judiciary cannot function optimally without adequate funding. She pointed out limited resources are affecting the institution's ability to deliver timely and quality legal services to Kenyans. The CJ officially opened the Chief Magistrate's Family Court at the Milimani Law Courts. The court was established in January 2023.
Urge for budgetary allocation. Because if we had the resources to employ the number of magistrates we require and employ the number of judges that we require, this is a model that we would like to operate in every court station. Because in every court station, these matters are there, and these matters need to be expedited. The other day we were being celebrated at the UN meeting, the one called the Commission on the Status of Women that takes place every March of every year. Because of our specialized gender justice courts, there are 12 of them. We would like to scale them to at least 47 to be present in every county. But our problem is resources. When are we going to stop mourning about resources so that we can access justice to our people?
9 more suspects of the youthful Panga boys gang in Diani, Kwale County have been arrested in an ongoing crackdown in the county, bringing the total number of arrests to 145 in 2 weeks. The authorities have recovered 16 machetes, 4 knives, a toy gun, mobile phones, bang, and a motorcycle, with Msambweni Sub-County Police Commander Robertson Langat stating that they have scaled up the operation by deploying new strategies to nab the suspects as they enhance efforts to secure the area ahead of the Easter holiday festivities.
Out of hiyo tumeshika 145, 85 wameweza kushtakiwa na makosa mbalimbali, robbery with violence na being a member of an organized criminal group, na wengine 9 waliweza kushtakiwa na unlawful assembly and riot. Napenda kuhimiza wasasi wachunge watoto yao, So saa hii shule imefungwa, hii vijana wa shule wadogo wende kama wataungana nao wengine, so wachunge watoto yao.
The vetting process for candidates vying for positions in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission continued today as the selection panel scrutinized the academic qualifications and backgrounds of several applicants. Among those who appeared before the panel was former Technical University Vice-Chancellor Francis Odhiambo Aduol, who faced tough questions regarding his leadership at the university. Other candidates who appeared before the panel today included Frederick Odhiambo Orego, George Ngugi Gathuka, Fatma Mohammed, Jeffrey Kipngetich Kurgat, and Geoffrey Peter Muli Wasua.
Why, in your opinion, do you think you received an adverse report?
Mr. Chairman, I think all the reports that we received were responded to.
Yes, but I'm asking now, why, in your opinion, do you think the Auditor General gave you, as the VC of TUK, an adverse report?
All those queries were responded because we, as a CEO, you were given a chance to respond to the queries. And eventually, we respond to the queries. I know there are cases which took us to Parliament, and we responded to those queries even before Parliament.
EBC, as we speak right now, it's on a transitional trajectory. So we need to make sure that all the mechanisms we are putting in place will allow the Commission to become firm. Before then, we can introduce more advanced transitional mechanisms. So in my own opinion right now, we are not ready for a part-time commission. We need officers who will be there to make decision policies as and when.
If you do a boundary delimitation, it cannot be used 1 year. If the election is 2027, you have to do it before 2026. So yes, we can do, and then we can apply in the elections after. I'm just wondering whether we'll be able to get sufficient time to be able to do this.
Kenya's veteran grannies team, Mutei FC from Uasin Gishu County, pulled pulled off a stunning 2-0 victory over South Africa's Tembisa Gogo in the ongoing Grannies Football Tournament. It's very interesting. Gogo in that part of the country, Uasin-Gishu, where the Kalenjins come from, means grandma. So Captain Gertrude Mutai and striker Edna Cheriot found the back of the net, keeping Kenya's hopes alive in the spirited over 50s competition. Cheered on by Kenyans living in South Africa, the resilient grandmothers proudly flew the Kenyan flag high. The team now looks ahead to a high-stakes clash against the United States tomorrow morning, as Emily Chebet reports.
In a stunning display of resilience and determination, Kenya's veteran side Mutei FC clinched a 2-0 victory over the Mbesa Gogo of South Africa today, their first win in the ongoing Grannies Football Tournament, now on its third day in South Africa. After a tough opening loss and a hard-fought draw yesterday, today's result marks a major turnaround for the spirited 50 and over squad from Uasin-Gishu County.
Mimi nacheza nambari 9. Leo tulicheza mchezo wa kuva na kubwana. Leo tulifunga mabao mawili. Na tuko na furaha sana. Kenya hoye!
Haikuwa kazi rahisi, lakini tulijitahidi kwamba tupate kitu. Kwani jana tuliingizwa 1-0, lakini leo tumejitahidi sana na tunafurahi sana kwa sababu tunaona tunasonga mbele.
The jubilant grannies celebrated their hard-earned win with beaming smiles and hearts full of pride. Goals from Captain Gertrude Mutai and striker Edna Cheruyot lifted Kenya's hope for a strong tournament finish.
Leo sio yenye tulikuwa nayo imekwisha kabisa. Leo tulicheza mchezo mzuri. Wakenya furahini. Kikombe kinakuja Kenya.
Wachezaji wote wakajituma, tukajikawanya, tukakimbia mpaka tukaingiza goal bila hata hawakuchua. Siku ya leo ni Mungu ndio alituwezesha. Alituwezesha ndio tukaweza kufunga goli. Tulicheza sana. Tulijituma kabisa mpaka tukaingiza goal.
And now all eyes are on tomorrow's showdown as Mutei FC gears up to take on the United States team in a clash that promises to be nothing short of unforgettable. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
Can't wait to catch them take on the USA tomorrow. And right here at home, the Juamoshe na Shabiki Jet X promotion has crowned another lucky winner in its third week. Petronila Kavakali from Juja is celebrating a 250,000 shillings win after hitting the highest multiplier in the game. A loyal Shabiki.com fan, Petronila staked just 50 shillings and watched her multiplier skyrocket to 1,200, securing her massive payout. She described Shabiki.com as both an entertaining platform and a great way to unwind. As an online writer, she says she will invest her winnings wisely to boost her economically. And you too can win. Visit www.shabiki.com to play Juamoshe na Shabiki Jet X game and much more.
I was a student at JKUAT. I completed last year, and then I began doing academic writing. Na follow Shabiki on their social media handles. Hapo ndo niliona hiyo promotion ya Juamoshe na JetX. Mimi niliplace bet na 50 bob. And then nikangoja hadi multiplier ipande ikafika 1,200 na nikakuwa the highest multiplier. Hiyo do nataka, nimefikiria vitu mob, but kitu yenye nimeona itawak ni nataka kuanzisha a cosmetics shop. Ya juu hiyo najua itashika haraka. Na wasiseme ni game ya maboys, kila mtu anaweza shinda. Kama mimi ni dem na nimeshinda, sasa dem mwingine ni nani?
We will be talking business after the break. Stay with us. Relief for road contractors as government sets out to clear pending bills starting this month.
Karibuni sana. Thank you so much for coming.
Hey, that shirt has seen better days. Mara, it's your faded shirt. Mara, it's your faded roof. Look at our roof from Mabati Rolling Mills. Still as vibrant after all these years. Unlike your shirt.
Yes, MRM steel roofing tiles are made using advanced color coating technology that makes the color last.
The tiles are even wider, so you use less pieces.
Which saved us money. So you mean Mabati Rolling Mills saves you money?
Yeah!
Steal the show with versatile, Oriental and Elegantile steel roofing tiles. Backed by a genuine warranty only from Mabati Rolling Mills. Visit a dealership or call us today at 0788 202020.
Buroti maguta, keja kwa mtaa mambo fiti. Nafungua bahasha wao nikismile, mambo ni murwa, kop imeshikia keda, biza maplot, nikasip tu. Kaniflot ya mboka, reti kotop, nikasip tu.
With just a payslip, get a mobile loan of up to 500,000 shillings or an unsecured loan of up to 9 million shillings. Visit a Cooperative Bank branch today. Cooperative Bank, we are you.
When I have back pain, I reach for 2 tablets of Panadol Extra. It's boosted by caffeine for fast relief of strong pain, like headache, toothache, and muscle pain. And I am finally released from pain and ready to be there for those who need me. Try Panadol Extra for fast and effective relief from strong pain.
Experience Swiss-based education in the heart of Nairobi. With practical, hands-on skills, we prepare you for the dynamic world of culinary arts and patisserie or international hospitality management. Travel the world and gain global work experience through our international placement network as you shape your career as the next global future leader in hospitality. Welcome to the Boma International Hospitality College. May intake is ongoing.
Royal Mabati Factory Limited, your one-stop shop for affordable and quality guaranteed roofing solutions. Grab our offers. Pay 40%, get same-day production, relax at home, and enjoy free delivery. Call us on 0722 638383. Order today at www.royalmabati.com.
Products rich in antioxidants such as vitamin C, D, and E help fight free radicals, reduce signs of aging, and support skin renewal.
Give your skin a daily dose of vitamin N. Experience Amara Skincare, packed with vitamin N. Amara, embrace nature.
Ukiambiwa mtu anakutishia siku nyingine nitakufanya kitu hutakisahau maishani mwako, toka.
I saw that you left with Camila, although she didn't look like she wanted to go with you.
And that's none of your business.
Let's talk business now, and the country's road construction has come to a standstill with over hundreds of projects abandoned due to unpaid contractor dues. Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport Davis Chirchir now says that the government will be clearing these bills in full starting this month. This, he says, will be done through the securitization of a portion of the road maintenance levy fund. Our reporter Wamboi Wangoi now brings us the details.
Over the last few months, constructions of roads across the country has come to a standstill. Contractors have gone without pay, some for as long as nearly a decade. In light of this, they had abandoned works, leaving over 500 road construction projects incomplete and at a standstill.
In every county, there are 5, 6, 10 roads which are stranded.
The only way out was for the government to quickly put together about 175 billion shillings, which is approximately what the contractors are collectively owed.
So what we have done with the approval of Parliament giving us the additional 7 shillings of the road maintenance levy on top of the current 18 shillings sometimes in July last year was to take a bold decision to securitize the 7 shillings to raise about 175 billion through a bond issuance.
The government collects about 25 shillings per litre of fuel for the maintenance of roads under the Road Maintenance Levy Fund. What the government has done through the Kenya Roads Board is take 7 of the 25 shillings and securitize it. This means that the funds will be structured into financial instruments that investors, primarily institutional lenders, can invest in and avail immediate cash flow for the settlement of these pending bills.
To a very good extent, this is healing GDP to construction. It is sorting out the construction industry in terms of paying our suppliers of material, employment, sorting out the banks who basically do not know what to do with the contractors because they are not able to pay and they are holding certificates from government and so on and so forth.
But the government is yet to float the bond. To make the initial payment of 40% of all pending bills owed to road contractors, it has taken out a loan facility. Within 120 days, the government will then issue the bond and use the proceeds to offset both the loan facility and the remainder of the pending bills.
So the way we've structured the facility, we're saying let's have a first aid $600 million today. When we go to the market, we'll do a bond of 175 billion, which will therein have the 600 billion which we have already taken, and then pay off whoever had given us the facility.
The government is hoping to raise 80% of the 175 billion shillings bond from the international market and only 20% locally. After years and years of painfully waiting for their dues, contractors can now breathe a sigh of relief. The government is assuring them that their payments, the first tranche at least, will hit the banks in the coming days. The balance will be cleared in a period of about 4 months. Wambui Wangui, Citizen TV.
And Stima Deposit Sacco has unveiled its strategic plan for the next 5 years. The shift in strategy will enable the Sacco be more effective and responsive to the evolving needs of its members. Jimmy Mbogo now examines the strategic plan and its intended outcome.
In the next 5 years, Stima Sacco is set to invest over 2.5 billion shillings in technology. This includes the use of artificial intelligence, AI, in the Sacco's operation, as well as automation of the Sacco's credit business. The Sacco is also looking at increasing its presence through investment in branches.
We are seeking to grow our membership from 220,650 members to 385,000 members. There's about 160,000 members in the next 5 years. Number 2, we are looking at expanding our revenue from 10.15 billion shillings to 19.3 billion shillings. We are also looking at growing our assets from 66 billion Kenya shillings to 113 billion. I know my friends are here from the other SACCOs. We want to be the first SACCO to reach 100B.
To enable the Sacco reach its 100 billion shillings asset-based target, Stima Sacco plans to pivot its investment to treasuries as well as capitalize on investment in cash and cash equivalent, particularly in Tier 1 banks. A move that the Sacco hopes will provide a balance to its investment portfolio away from interest income.
COVID, you're doing almost 3% only was investment income. Today is 18%. That tells you a lot. It tells you that because we're very good at mobilizing money, we are a very liquid institution. So the key question for us is what do we do with all this liquidity we have? We have an abundance of it. Even if you give loans, how many of those are you going to give out?
We will diversify our revenue streams by introducing innovative financial products, carefully calibrated to meet the evolving needs of our members. Dynamic asset liability management frameworks will be enhanced to optimize returns while maintaining prudent risk exposure.
The SACCO has been urged to remain customer-centric, ensure ethical leadership and accountability. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
That's business. Let's take a break before we come back with all the day's sports. Stay with Friday Night.